are a few areas my husband and I are trying not to be a stumbling block to his very fundamental legalistic parents. Is it hypocritical to hide our choice of music or games in order to not offend them in silly preferences?
Yeah.
Another good
Well,
one.
yeah, that's a really good question, and I think there's a lot of nuances that you have to consider for
Mm-hmm.
your particular situation because
Mm-hmm.
you have to. Here's I would ask a couple of things. On one hand, is there value in fighting a war over your music preferences? What's best for that relationship? What best
Yeah.
serves love in that relationship? If if you were to say, come in with like a Megadeth T-shirt and or a Kanye West T-shirt or whatever that irritates them, just to kind of stand your ground and say, this is who I am and I'm different than you, and you could kind of make that stand, and maybe through a struggle around that topic, they might see something in your preferences that they didn't see before, and there could be a potential path there where you find some reconciliation around your leisure time music preferences. But at the same time, it's like, how is it worth it? Is it worth that big
Yeah.
battle? And if you don't think that there would be any payoff to that, then I don't think it's hypocritical to say, this is my music preference,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't like this music, and in fact they think that it's unholy in some way. Um, I, on one hand, it's not worth the battle. Uh, it might not be worth the battle, I should say. And then on the second point is that it's sort of an act of hospitality to
Mm-hmm.
just defer to their preferences. And now, but there are other things too. I mean, if and this is where the personal situation becomes really important. If they are really controlling, and if they have used that control and that legalism in a way that has been oppressive and has made you feel diminished and has made you feel like you're not your own person. Well, the first thing to do is to talk about that, not to come in with a t-shirt and blaring your music to make a point. It's better if you can just start having conversations about that. So that's what I would say is there's nothing inherently wrong with listening to music that they find offensive, and but at the same time, you just have to ask the question, what's best for this relationship here?
Yeah.
That's my answer. What do you think,
Yeah.
Shauna?
Yeah, I think you handled the nuance of the question very well. And I think you also revealed to people why you and I don't really get along because you talk about wearing a Kanye West t-shirt. And that's a non-starter for me. So
Well, I've never heard a single kind. Oh no, I did. I did hear one album of his once, but it wasn't really my vibe. But you
yeah,
know,
yeah, that's good. Okay, okay. We're coming back closer together, Dan.
okay, good.
We're on the mend.
Also,
Um,
Megadeth. I've never listened to Megadeth, so just
Actually, I haven't either.
yeah. Okay, good.
Okay, yeah. Okay, first of all, just to look at the question at face value, no, I do not think that's hypocritical. But again, like I said, I feel like Dan really handled the nuance well with the question. In those types of situations, this is going to sound like I've arrived, and we all know I have not. But I do like to ask myself, what does love look like in this situation? And even when it's something petty, like I think something silly, like my music choice or the games I like to play or movies I like to watch. What does love look like in this situation? What is this relationship? How much do I value it? How can I be loving in this matter? And for me, what I've come to in most cases, again, no, we're not talking about abuse or trying to strong arm you or any of that stuff. I'm just saying when it's coming to this is my preference because of my beliefs in entertainment and all that stuff. Um, I kind of look at it as like if there were someone in my life that had struggled, say, with alcohol, because I love them, I'm not going to invite them over for like a wine and cheese night.
Right.
Like I'm not going to do that. And I'm not, you know what I mean? So you consider others. That's where that scripture about considering others, I just think comes into play. And so, no, I don't think it's hypocritical. In fact, it sounds quite loving. And I agree. There are times to, make a stand and stand for things. Um, but you have to look at your motivations. You have to look at your
Hmm.
intent and your heart. And is music choice, is game choice, is that really worth the battle?
Yeah.
And that's a question that really only those involved in the situation can answer. But as it's written, looks to me like a very loving and respectful interaction and not
Hmm.
hypocritical at all.
Yes. I
All
like
right.
that. Hypocritical.